Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Thinking Project. In fact, it's episode 200, and I can't believe it. It's been a lot of fun, but you know what's the best thing about episode 200 is that we're going to hit 300. So that is definitely going to happen. I'm grateful for all of you who are listening right now. I'm grateful if you're watching this live. I'm grateful for that. If you're listening to the recording, I'm grateful. If you catch this in a week from now, I'm grateful because I have an amazing guest today, and there's nothing to sell you today. Just some amazing conversations with an amazing human being. One of the best that I've been able to interview on this podcast in a long time. And I'm grateful for just everything that we all have going on, you taking the time. But we're going to keep going. The podcast is not going to die down. And if you're not following the podcast, make sure you do that. Go to daltonkjensen.com, sign up for the newsletter. It's totally free. It just keeps you up to date. And there's Mentality Monday that comes along with that, which is just your weekly dose of motivation and resources that I have to offer you that are all totally free. So if you need anything like that, make sure you check out the newsletter. So with all that being said, let me introduce David Rock, aka DRock. He's the executive creative lead for Team Garyvee and for Gary Vaynerchuck. He has an amazing story about that whole relationship forming and everything like that. He's also got an amazing book in the works that you'll hear about him discuss in the podcast episode. But with all that being said, I'm really grateful, really appreciate, and without further ado, David Rock. Well, I appreciate it, DRock. You're awesome. I've been following you forever. In fact, you posted a while ago about putting podcasters and creators together, and I got a few really awesome guests from that post.
Love that. You're like in the networking post thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or on Twitter, were you saying?
Twitter.
On Twitter. Oh yeah, where I said, hey, if you have a podcast and you guest. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's cool. And obviously, you have an amazing story. I've only heard your story though secondhand about coming up through and you had a company. What was it in 2013? It was like Launch Media or
Launching Creative.
Launching Creative.
Yeah, ran a podcast with my buddy Nick Park. We had a podcast. We had 30, 40 episodes. We had a blog. We were just teaching creatives how to make money. And I think I was a freelancer myself, so when I first started, there weren't a lot of resources like, hey, this is how much you should charge. This is how you should think about your taxes every year. Hey, this is how you should think about networking, et cetera, et cetera. And we kind of took that approach of like, hey, we're coming up the starving artist. We were calling ourselves the anti-starving artist. And yeah, it was a fun experience. I learned a lot through that time.
Yeah. Okay. And how long was that? How long did you do that project for?
I think we did that for about 6 or 7 months. And then somewhere in the process, my buddy Nick was like, hey, there's this guy talking at Columbia University. It's a free event. Let's go to it. So we go to the free event, and this guy walks out in jeans, Nike, hat, and it was Gary Vaynerchuck. And then I was like, wow, this guy is different than like who we've been talking to, which very well accredited, very great people. Just they all held themselves a little bit different, like suit and tie, more business formal. This guy Gary was more my speed. He was like street and like hung and like cool. And that night I went home and watched everything that I possibly could on him. He had keynotes. He had random like one-off cell phone videos on his YouTube channel. There was no real TikTok. There was like pictures. There was no Instagram. There were pictures only. Video did not exist on Instagram at that point.
Yeah.
There was no TikTok, Snapchat barely. And so YouTube is kind of like the only source of like where I saw him. And I was a videographer, filmmaker as a freelancer. And I thought, wow, Gary, he has some really cool points. I like his story. I think I can make a cooler video for him. I think I can make something that looks more cinematic. And so I emailed him, I DM'd him, no response.
No
emailed
way.
him again and a few more times, no response. And then, I tell the story because it's a fun story. I remembered it like a couple of years ago. I had made the most money I'd ever made on a freelancing job ever. But I'm ghetto. So like on the way to get there, it was pouring rain. I have all my camera, my like lighting, my everything on my back. It's New York City too, so you don't have cars. So
Right.
I'm going through the New York City subway system. I look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. I'm walking. I do the job. Like I get to the place. I think it was like Park Avenue or maybe even Lexington Avenue. I do the job. And I'm walking out and I'm like, fuck this. Like I made the most money I'd ever made on a freelancing job. Why don't I just take a taxi? Because again, I'm the type of guy like that was saving every dollar. I would eat like pasta and bread, maybe some Starbucks and a banana, maybe a muffin here or there. But like my diet was shit. I did nothing. I didn't go. I had a girlfriend at the time. We didn't go really out. Like our out was like maybe like burrito at Chipotle.
Uh,
Um, I was like really up in the coming trenches of like trying to make it. And so I had taken one cab before because the girlfriend at the time, aunt, had come to New York and she was like, let's go in a cab before. Like, I don't remember ever taking a cab before this day. And so I took the cab. Why that's such an important part of the story is back then the subway didn't have cell phone service. There was no way I would have been able to look at my phone. There was like occasionally in between stops. Now
okay.
it's like more available and accessible. But back then I would have had no cell phone service. I'm in the cab on the way home from this job, and Gary tweets out, "Hey, I'm trying this app called Kick. It's a chatting messaging app
Uh-huh.
that like back in the day used to be like, it's like Gary saying, "Hey, I'm trying out TikTok or Snapchat." Like it was like a new platform would come on and talk to me. And so I downloaded it right away, made a username, and sent him a message. Within 1 minute, he responded. And
Wow.
he was like, hey, like I was like, hey, I'm in New York. I make cool videos. Here's a 1 minute video that I made. It was like a cinematic thing that I made on my own time just for fun. I was like, hey, I would love to do something like this for you. He responds right away, connects me with his admin, and this guy Steve Unwin, who is the writer and like the only Team Garyvee member at the time, and or with Zach Moy, was another guy, and
Yeah.
uh, that's how I got the first shot at filming a video for Gary.
Oh wow, that's crazy. So it might not have happened if you would have taken the subway.
Yeah, and that's the point. Like, listen, like that's the point right now. I have
Yeah.
emails in my inbox, emails that are
Yeah.
like, "Hey, want to work for you? Hey, want to do this?" It's just that moment. I often say like hard work and serendipity play
Yeah.
a huge role in like my success, and I think I did all the work. I emailed, I DM'd, I messaged, I done everything. It just happened to be serendipitous
Yeah.
timing that the other door opened up where I was able to take my opportunity. And I think, I'm writing a book on this right now.
Oh
I
wow.
offered it for free,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of times people shy away from free work. And leading up to this point, I had done so much free work. And so I was very comfortable with like, hey, I want to do this for free,
Yeah.
hoping to get more clients from him, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a no-brainer. It's like you got this guy and what now let me ask you this, was Gary V big at the time or was he still, because
He
he
had,
was doing Columbia and I've heard a
yeah.
lot of his stuff with like Wine Library and stuff.
Yeah, he had 1 million followers on Twitter.
Mhm.
So he was
Oh
pretty
wow.
big in the tech world,
Yeah.
but no one in culture, no one in like real life knew him. It was more
Oh.
like if you go to South by Southwest for all the investment thing, or very well known in the wine world.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like where Gary sat. Other
Yeah.
than that, he was just a businessman working on
Yeah.
building VaynerMedia. I didn't even know about the wine stuff until I actually started working with him.
Oh wow.
I didn't really like know the whole background. I didn't really do a deep dive. He was more just starting to build VaynerMedia. I was employing like 250 or 300 at Vayner. We're now 1,800
Yeah.
global office 8 years
Wow.
later. So it's like it's a different type of animal, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Wow,
Different type
what a
of
crazy
animal.
story. And you're writing a book right now, and I've been following you on Twitter for a while, obviously. I saw you reading one of my favorite authors, Ryan Holiday, Ego is the Enemy. What a great book.
Incredible dude, incredible book.
Yeah.
He worked with us on the Vayner speaker side. He, yeah, he's a fucking remarkable. We had just gone to Austin, I think, a few months ago, and
Uh-huh.
I realized, wait a minute, dude, I never read any of your books. He was so gracious. He sent them all to me, so now I'm like reading through them all.
Oh yeah.
That Ego is the Enemy racked my brain so much. I was like I've been doing so I'm not a big reader, but then
Yeah.
last summer I had started this thing like Micro Atomic Habits. Like I read that book.
Oh yeah.
It changed my life because I started reading a chapter a day, like no matter what. And
Uh-huh.
that whole thing shifted my perspective. I'm reading a lot now. So it's really fun that like Ego is the Enemy is like such a
Wow.
great book.
So yeah, it really is, and I love Ryan Holiday, and I've seen, yeah, a lot of your guys' stuff with him, and
Yeah.
I'm curious, is that the one that is that the one that let you I mean, inspired you to start writing your book, or what like and started you to like inspired you to start writing?
Yeah, I mean, I've always written. When I was younger, I was like writing a fantasy novel. I was writing all the time. If you ask my mom, I was homeschooled, so I
Okay.
was like writing all the time. I always wanted to write like magic and fantasy. And then over the years, now again, I've been with Gary 8 years. I've always thought about, oh, it would be cool one day to like kind of write about my story. And then one day I just had this like inkling that I wanted to start, probably like a year or two ago now at this point, and I put it out on the internet like, "Hey, looking for a ghostwriter." Um, got a ghostwriter. Her name's Renata. She's lovely. I'm excited to work with her. Decided to put this story out. I think the working title is "How to Get Your Dream Job,"
Yeah.
and the sub premise is like working for free. And I think a lot of people, especially right now, creators, TikTok generation, Instagram generation, Snapchat, uh, crypto, NFT, there's going to be so much more independence and so much more, as Gary would say, options to
Yeah.
make money in different ways. But I think the one thing is after you have the option, the career path, I think too many people just go on their own and they're not meant to work on their own. They're meant to
Mhm.
work with like what I'm doing with Gary. I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not a businessman. I'm not an independent worker. I
Mhm.
work at a job. I have a full-time salary paid position, but I'm working with someone who like allows a lot of entrepreneurship inside of
Yeah.
that. But I think a lot of people will not have that if they go into jobs or if they're on their own, just need more tools in order to learn how to network with the people in order to establish a greater career. And I
Yeah.
want to just like, I'm going to interview 20, 30 of my friends, companions that have done it and who have made it off of doing some free work.
Yeah. Wow,
It's
that's a
kind of
great point. Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to look at it, because I like how you said that, like, some people aren't gonna find what they're looking for working on their own, right? And in this world, it feels like a pretty that feels like a pretty harsh kind of pill to swallow. You know what I mean?
I don't think so, man. I think it's
Okay.
self-awareness. Like, I don't wanna, like, worry about where my next paycheck is coming from. I'm not, like, about that
Yeah.
life.
Right.
I wanna tell stories. I wanna, like, do stuff. I think too many people I think what's happening is you see everybody on their own, you're hearing numbers like, "Oh, Charlie D'Amelio gets $1 million for one video," and you're like, "I wanna do that," and it's, like, hard. People don't
Yeah.
realize how much work that is, and, like, that's and some talent is gonna make 1 million, some people are gonna make 5,000,
Yeah.
and I think what the point I guess what I'm trying to say is, why don't we just, educate? Like, I'm gonna look at this in, like, education,
Yeah.
right? Like, here, you can even take these skills and do it just to learn how to build a better network of
Yeah.
people. Like,
Yeah.
offering your work for free for 5 of the greatest, like, entrepreneurs could actually change your life professionally on your own independence,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
I
important.
no, I love that idea. I think it's great. One of the things that I like to talk about when I'm doing like this podcast or things like that, and I'm connecting with business owners, is there's a couple myths I like to dispel. The first one is like you can have a 9 to 5 and a side hustle. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Like you're not a real like some people are like, you're not a real entrepreneur if you work at a 9 to 5 and have a side hustle.
Listen, coming from someone who freelanced my whole entire life before Gary, freelance, I worked at Best Buy. I worked at a wedding video editing job while I also was doing free work and side hustle jobs.
Mhm.
Listen, many people have this misconstrued idea that entrepreneurship or working for free I kind of put them in the same category. Entrepreneurship is a grind. You gotta swallow your pride and work hours and hours after your normal job in order to pay for your bills, because a
Yeah.
lot of times entrepreneurship doesn't pay right away. And the same with freelancing or working for free. People think, hey, if I offer for free, how am I going to pay my bills? I'm like, guys, get a job. Working a 9 to 5, and then afterward is when you work for free. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't realize that you're in control. When you offer your services for free, you're actually the one, you have the power in the relationship.
Mhm.
A lot of people think, "Oh, I'm gonna work for free and they can tell me everything and I get no money and I have no life." No, you're in control. These are
Yeah.
the terms that I can do. Hey, I have a job 9 to 5. 5 to 8, I can edit or do whatever you need me to do on whatever project is the work for free, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I think too many people would rather take that time and watch movies or hang out with their buddies and not actually work. And I think that's where, but yeah, entrepreneurship, you're an entrepreneur if you're working on your own business. I think a successful entrepreneur is when you've actually gotten out of the chasm of having to work that 9 to 5 and able to stand on your own 2 feet. I think
Mhm.
that's where people might be getting confused.
Okay.
Entrepreneurship is grinding and working for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole free idea, a lot of people kind of, I mean, I'm glad you're writing a book on that because a lot of people kind of crap on that. But
Oh,
I've
they are, everybody.
yeah, I do that though. And I've done stuff for free and I've just had a lot of projects where you just give. And I think the main point that I appreciate about doing free work is you like I think the networking opportunity is the best one. And you just like you get to meet people that you never would have met before. And and I like also what you said about you setting the terms because that's another big one. Like people
Yeah,
just think
again,
yeah, I'm a slave or something like that.
right. You set boundaries like any good
Mhm.
relationship, right? Like I think, but honestly, like man, like a lot of this stuff is because hey, people don't know how to communicate.
Ooh.
People just want to make excuses.
Mhm.
People don't want to do the free work because it's hard and it's a lot, and it's like humiliating in a way. If you're someone who's wrapped up in like, hey, I need to get paid for my work, then you're gonna like, I don't know, I just feel like that's like a lack of insecurity in yourself, and belief in yourself. I
Yeah.
listen, I think a lot of these things all relate to real life stuff
Mhm.
outside of just the work part of it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I think that's why people have a hard time with that stuff.
That's crazy. So when are do you have like a release date for your book or is it just slowly in
No,
the process?
yeah, slowly in the process. I just got a publicist. She's helping me. We're setting up the whole like. I was gonna write it before I sell and then sell it, but now I think I'm gonna write a proposal and sell in the proposal before I write it.
Oh wow, that's great. And is
Yeah.
that I mean, so you got VaynerMedia, you got your book. What other projects are you working on right now? Or like what are you excited about?
Yeah, I mean, listen, working for Gary full time for the last 8 years has been really fun. Kind of now in the VaynerX world, and I'm working on there's a new program we're developing called Modern Branded Shows (MBS), and it's creating like original online shows for brands like Budweiser, GE,
Whoa.
Claire's, and all this stuff. So right now we're in the pitching phase of that. We're talking to a bunch of different clients, trying to sell that in. So me and my buddy Nima Vand are working on that within Vayner. Um, just helping Gary film and document his life still when he travels. I'm kind of still doing that, and then also I just came up with a new show idea for Gary and Gary's channel that I'm working on, which I'm really excited about. I can't really tell much more about it yet, but
Can't,
I'm
can't tell
I'm
much
pretty
more about it.
excited. And then
Okay.
VCon's around the corner, so just helping like plan that out. We have we got to document it for the documentary. We got to
Yep.
document it for all the sponsorships. We got to document it for FOMO of next year. So like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm getting like 8 or 9 videographers in to help kind of document the whole thing. There's gonna be like
Wow, that's
8 to ten
awesome.
thousand people there. It's gonna be insane.
Yeah.
So
I'm
that's
yeah,
a
one
big
of
project.
Yeah,
Um,
One of Salt Lake's finest is going to be speaking at VCon.
which one? Which one?
Chris Lee.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm excited. It's gonna be it's a really big conference, and I'm really excited for it. I'm really pumped, and
I
Gary did a
know,
really
I
good
know. I'm
job of it.
pumped too. I've been I've been trying to have Chris on my podcast forever. I've even like gone down the street to his office and stuff. But he's
Well,
he's amazing though. He's so cool. Artifact Studio. When they sold to Nike, I was like,
yeah,
holy cow. That
insane.
and NFTs are just going wild. I mean, that's how we met. I I
Well,
uh
yeah.
I was like trying to collect book games and I just couldn't put the time together with all of my things that I have going on right now. So when you posted
Yeah.
like you were looking for it, I was like, well, I'm not gonna waste mine. Like, I'm not gonna hold on to it, man. Let's go, dude. And so that's a lot of fun. But I know we're coming up on time and I want to be really respectful. I really appreciate you deciding to do this and coming on
Course,
with
man.
me.
Bro, we have another like 8 minutes yet, man.
Oh,
11:45. Let's go.
all right,
Let's
okay, all right, cool.
dive
Okay,
in.
because I did want to ask you, there's a ton of podcasts that are associated with Gary, like the 1:37 p.m. You got Gary's All of Gary stuff. Um, what are some podcasts that you tell people to listen to like to apply to learn about the principles you're teaching to like really grow themselves? What are some that you like?
It's funny, man. Because I've been working on Gary, I film and edit Gary's content.
Okay.
Literally, like that was my full-time job every day. So whenever I got out of work, I would never listen to podcasts because
Okay.
I was like, I had all this like motivation and stuff in my head all the time. But I'm I need rap. I need Russ to be on in the background. I need some
Oh yes.
Drake. Give me a little Uzi Vert. Give me some like good shit to listen to outside of podcasts. So
Yeah.
honestly, I go through my like life priorities probably
Uh
like 2 or 3 times a year. And for
yeah.
the last 2 years, all my life priorities is once a week downloading the podcast. I have not I have not downloaded any podcast at all. I am
Yeah.
not good. I've tuned into a few Joe Rogans, but
Yeah.
honestly, man, I don't listen to podcasts.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. You know what's funny about that too is like I do the same thing. I'm like I have my podcast, I edit a few of my buddies, like we're in a little community, and my
Yeah.
buddies will get mad at me. They're like, "Do you check out my latest podcast?" I'm like, "Dude, I recorded like 3 this week. I edited 2." I'm like,
I'm
it's
good.
time.
I'm tapped out.
I love you though. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah, I'll
I'll
share
share
the
your stuff.
link.
You know, I love you though. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So you mentioned your life priority list.
yeah.
What's at the top?
At the top right now is self-help. Like the last 8 years were pretty not 8, but the last 2 were COVID, which were okay
Yeah.
for me, for my health, because I was like at home resting, getting the most rest I've ever gotten, being able to work out more frequently, keep my body and mind in check. So that was good.
Okay.
But like the 6 or 7 years before were a little bit aggressive. So like
Yeah.
it's funny, even like we were on the plane like every week, probably like 3 or 4 planes a week.
Wow.
And like not like, hey, let's go to LA. It was like, let's fly to Singapore and then do a day there and then fly to London and do a day there and then fly home. And then when we land, then let's have a day in New York and then fly to LA for a day. It was just like madness stuff. So like I'm like really pumped that I kind of had this time over the last 2 years to prioritize my health.
Yeah.
And then honestly, man, micro habits. I gotta change my phone background again,
Yeah.
but I've been like loving this. Read one chapter a day, work out in the gym an hour and a half a day, drink a gallon of water a
Oh
day,
yeah.
work on like I have this side fashion brand I'm working on. I kind of want to be the supreme of NFTs. I
Yeah.
want to be the designer of fashion for NFT projects.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
necessarily want to put out my own project. I just want to show up on other NFTs. And so I have a few of those in the works right now.
Cool.
And then gonna put out some real pieces. So what I did though for the last 100 days, I designed something every day for like 15 minutes
Okay.
and then just posted it on Instagram.
Oh wow. That's cool. Oh
And
yeah, and I've seen some of them on Twitter. Some of the
yep,
like
yep, and
this hoodie has
yeah,
a hoodie.
yeah, that's right. This hoodie has a hoodie. Um, yeah, I've been putting out a bunch of stuff like literally every day on Instagram. I have a page called Made by, and I'm just putting out stuff, putting
Cool.
myself through design school.
So I like yeah, oh yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's a really cool thing when you know, and a lot of people talk about this, but just when you're really cool with yourself and you know, like your strengths, like I agree, like I'm on the same page as you. There's a few projects, a few artists, hip hop artists here in Salt Lake who want to do like NFT stuff. And I've always been like, I never want to make my own like drop or whatever,
Right,
but I'm like, I would love to get involved with you guys and do what I
right,
can
help
there.
them.
Yeah, and just
Yeah,
help you. Yeah, because I'm like, it's a lot of work to drop an NFT. But if I can like help you guide and like, I've been a part of a few projects. Here's what you can do. Like that.
yeah.
That's to me. That's the most fun is like helping people and just like adding to their skills and like helping other people shine. And I know
Which
that's
is
weird.
no, which is back to the point of,
Yeah.
like, the working for free or the entrepreneurship point that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Man, if my mom and dad would be so grateful if they grew up in this time because and think about this. I was just on the phone with my mom right before I got on here with you, and she
Okay.
was like, we were talking about, like, my relationship and, like, health and mental health, and she's like, "Yeah, your whole generation is so blessed because when I was growing" she's 69.
Mhm.
When I was growing up, there was, like, encyclopedias or health books. There was no
Mm,
internet to learn about mental health or no communities to build around your mental health. Even doing this, what you and I are doing right now, is not possible back in the
yeah.
day, and I think with so many options career-wise, if you want to be a music artist your whole entire life, or be a video blogger on the internet your whole entire life, like what a lot of kids are starting to want to be,
Yeah.
what you have to realize is if you're not going to be one of the greats, you're still in luck and there's still so much good things because there's 500 jobs surrounding those
Yeah.
interests.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna be Gary Vee. I don't want to be Gary Vee. I don't wanna sit in front of a camera or have my life followed around and documented, but my job as wanting to make video blogs for a living was possible because I was able to find somebody that was my muse, my guy that I follow,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
every day, there's if you want to be a music artist and you're not gonna be a music artist, you can be the businessman development
Yeah.
for a music artist. You can be the wardrobing costume. You can be someone writing songs on TikTok. You can be, there's so many different jobs
Yeah.
now underneath the thing that most people want to be. And if they become self-aware, then there's so many opportunities, you know,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
so many opportunities.
And
And, and too
go
many
ahead.
people will give up on their dream of being that thing because they think, oh, that's the only thing they could have been. And then they go take a 9 to 5 bullshit job and then they don't realize, wait, there's other options,
Yeah, you can
you
be
know?
like I heard I think it was Tim Ferriss say or maybe Tom Billy or somebody said like that, Lewis Howes, that like there was 3 types of people and the second one is like, they're called like linchpins.
Mm,
And so you're not like the Gary V, but you're like you are the person who lets Gary V get out there, right?
yeah,
Like you're the
yeah,
linchpin.
yeah,
That doesn't work without you know what I mean? And when I heard that, I was like, that's it. That's who I am. Like I don't need because I'm like you, right? I don't need to be like big, but I love to be like that guy who like I can connect you with the people who work. I can help work it. You know
100%,
what I mean?
100%. That's the beauty of life too, like, and also you don't know look at you, you're doing a podcast, you
Yeah.
don't know what this is gonna turn into either. You don't
No.
know.
And
All
it's
you gotta do
that's
is just keep beating the drum of doing it every day, doing your own thing while also helping others grow and succeed, while
yeah.
also doing whatever you do for your work life.
Yeah.
If you can keep those 3 things in balance for a long time, eventually something good happens.
That's beautiful. Uh, we'll sign off, but give me your last piece of advice for everybody on here. If there's something you just want everybody to know to be happy or successful or whatever.
Yeah, I think the more and more, as my career is going, like now again, I keep saying the 8 years thing because it's important.
Yeah.
8 years I've been working with Gary Vee, filming and editing hundreds and thousands of videos, and we're putting them out there on the internet. A lot
Mhm.
of people will look at Gary's Vee friends drop and be like, it's so unfair that it's so successful. 8.5 years of content every single day, building a community. And
Yeah.
before me, there was 5.5 years of Gary putting out wine videos every single day.
Yeah.
That is 13 years of hard work of community building. If I can tell you anything that
Mhm.
I've learned over the last, 8 years is being consistent
Mhm.
and building community are the
Mhm.
only thing that matter because in the future, what you want to do, if you build a great community, everything is achievable.
Wow. That's it, man. Wow. Well,
Just
thank you so
patience and
much.
hard work. Patience
Patience,
and
hard
hard work.
work,
And
consistency, and community.
self-awareness.
Stuff.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Dude, I love that. Well, hey, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to following you on Twitter. I look forward to reading your book.
Yes, shoot me the link. I can't wait to promote it and all that stuff. Let me know.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be out soon. Thank you so much, DRock. See ya.